All right, before we get started, I want to personally thank every one of you guys for becoming a patron on my page. I promise I'm going to work as hard as I can to make this page great. If there's any questions you have for me, just message me. There's a message on the top right of your page. So just message me, ask me anything you want. But let's try to keep the page as classy as possible, okay? And anything that you need from me, all you got to do is just message and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can, all right? Really appreciate it, and I hope that you're able to learn as much as you can from this page. I hope you're able to teach your kids, your groups, whatever. So thanks again, all right? Appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to talk about 3 keys today. It's going to make your hitter be able to drive the ball further, all right? There's 3 steps that I like to talk about. It's going to be a gather, it's going to be a separation, and it's going to be a release. All right, and we're going to go into all 3 steps. I'm going to have some of the kids demonstrate it, and we're going to really focus on driving with this backside on the release. All right, we're going to focus on getting against that front side. We're going to really focus on driving behind the ball. Okay, so step 1, we're going to talk about the gather of the body. We're going to learn how to gather a body. All right, and when I think about gathering the body, I think about the weight being on the inside of the back foot. All right, and I got some little tools right here to kind of show you visually what I'm talking about. So if I'm going to gather my body, I want to feel that weight on the inside. So you see the slope in this board right here. So when I'm gathering my body, I don't want my weight over on top of my back foot. I want it on the inside. So the slope is helping me stay inside my back foot. And if you watch my right knee, see my right knee is going to turn in a little bit as I gather my body here. All right? All right? All right. So that is the gather. And that gather, what it does is it gets us started. So we gather our body to get started. All right? We'll go to step 2 next. All right, so step 2 in the swing. What I want to tell you about is this separation, and that's going to be the hands and the foot. Now there's 2 parts of separation, and the next part of separation is going to take place when we do the release. But right now we're going to talk about the separation with the hands and the foot. Okay? So we're going to go to step 1 again, which is the gather. Gather. Step 2 will be the separation, which means the hands and the foot. All right? The hands go back the same time the foot goes forward. All right? Gather, separate. Okay? Now, when we gather and separate, we got to remember this. We're not going to separate early, so that means our hands aren't going to go back, and then we gather. All right? We're not going to go forward and then try to separate our hands. What we want to do is make sure that we feel the gather. Gather is very important. We want to feel that weight on the inside. Then we separate. So gather, then separate. And it can't be a pause. I'm kind of doing it slow just so you understand. All right? Gather, separate. All right, now I want you to take notice of this this little doorstop I got right here, and you see the same slope on it. All right, and when we're separating, we're landing to get against our front foot. So we gather to start, we separate to get against the front side. All right, and if you look at my knee's bent. All right, my weight's going to be on the inside of my front foot when I separate and land. Okay, so hands are back. We separated right there. That's step 2. Gather, separate. All right, now we're going to go to step 3. Which is the release. All right, and remember, we have to feel these triggers for them all to work. What I've done is I put a visual over here for you. Put some eyes on my foot here, and on my knee, and on my hip here. All right, they may fall off, but we're going to take a chance at it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to step 1, which is the gather, right? And what does that do? The gather starts us. Gather, separate. We're separating, taking our foot forward and our hands back once we feel the gather. And we're separating to get against our front side. Now we're going to release our back side, which is my hip, my knee, and my foot. Okay? And the reason why I like to put this eye right here is because when I release my backside, I want all 3 of these eyes to be facing that pitcher, okay? So I want to make sure that every time I'm going on a ball, that these eyes are facing that pitcher. So the gather, the separation, and then the release. The release. So the release is going to be with this backside. All right, this backside, which is my hip, my knee, and my foot here. If you can see, like, the eye here is looking out there. See, if I have my foot down, the eye would be looking up, all right? And the knee is turned in, where I'm transferring my weight from my backside into my front side. So that's why it's important when we separate and get against, all right, that's the trigger. That tells us that we got to release our backside. As soon as we feel the inside of our front foot, that tells us to release our backside. Not swing the back, but release the backside. So once we release that backside, all right, our hands are still back. Now that's the second part of the separation I'm talking about. You release this backside and the hands stay back. So you're separating that part right there. That's a separation right there. So the gather, separate, the release. And you're going to separate your hands from your hands from your back, your hip, okay? So gather, separate, release. You don't want your hands to beat your lower half here. You want that lower half to win, okay? So gather, separate, release. All right, remember the triggers. It's important that we're doing this and we're making sure that we're really feeling what we're doing and not rushing through it. So make sure you have them gather and make sure they understand that feeling. Because once they get to that, then they separate, all right? Once they feel that, then they release it, all right? And then work through your swing. Show them how to get these three things, and I promise one thing they're going to do is they're going to really start driving the ball much further. All right, so we'll work on the gather right here. All right, gather your body, gather. All right, very good. Again, gather. Great job. Now he's going to gather and separate. Gather, separate. Very good. All right. Gather, separate. Very good. All right, so he's going to do gather, separate, and release right here without the swing. Great job. All right, one more time.